Welcome to the Los Angeles Sentinel Daily Brief. This is where we talk Black and talk back to the headlines impacting the Black experience. I'm Niele Anderson, and here's what you need to know for today. As the conversation of reparations continues to grow and be explored on a city, state, and federal level, the next California Reparations Task Force in-person hearing will occur on Friday and Saturday, September 23rd and 24th. Now, here to discuss what has been discovered, what has been determined thus far, and what's on the agenda for the next set of meetings is California State Assembly member Reggie Sawyer. What has been identified thus far as tangible results for reparations for Black folks?
So we haven't gotten to that level yet.
Okay.
What we wanted to do was prove that African Americans, especially in California, deserve reparations. Mm-hmm. That first 400-page report outlines that. As a descendant of the Little Rock Nine kids integrated Central High School in 1957, I know what discrimination was like for my family, what they told me. Mm. That rendition is in that 400 pages, wow. And it describes graphically why we need reparations. Now the next step is, what will reparations look like? And it comes in a lot of forms, because you have to deal with political disenfranchisement, housing segregation, the criminal justice system, wealth gap. There's a whole lot of things that African Americans need to reverse the trend that chattel slavery has foisted on us.
You mentioned in the 400-page, it identified who is eligible for reparations, right?
It talks specifically mostly about why we need reparations.
Oh, why we need it.
There was an action taken about looking at people of chattel slavery, that we should make them a priority. Mm-hmm. We're going to look at it even more so, decide how that and what form it should be in, because at the end of the day, no matter what ship you came in, whether you came on a cruise ship or slave ship, if you're in America and you're African American, you're all adversely impacted by chattel slavery. And so we want to make sure that all boats rise at the same time.
Interesting, because many in the Black community, that is the challenge. Who's entitled to reparations? Is it direct descendants of slavery, or is it immigrants of parents who come over here? Will that begin to be detailed out?
It's a challenge. We're going to bring in, hopefully, more people that understand how you get to determine lineage. I've heard people who say you can't get it done. I've some that you can get it done. But at some point, just like the Native Americans with blood and blood lineage, we're going to have to come together as a group to decide what is the best way to move forward. Again, we must be concerned about making sure we don't leave anybody behind.
A lot of people, from old school think of 40 acres and a mule, which was intentionally promised to us. But what does 40 acres and a mule look like for Black folks today?
I tell people, I want my 40 acres. You can keep your mule, because a mule depreciates over time. If today's would be having your own home and a car, you can keep your car. Just give me more land. Let me own something. Let me build wealth. Let me own stocks. Let me have my own business. That way we can close the wealth gap for African Americans.
Now, many say student loans should be on the table because Black people are more impacted by student loans than any other ethnicity. Is that something you guys are looking at?
Well, personally, for me, as a descendant of the Little Rock Nine, education is really important. It's probably my highest priority to make sure that we close the education gap. Just debt forgiveness or reducing the debt for African Americans could increase the number of African Americans that get their college degree or advanced degree. And so we can bring that wealth, that knowledge, those skills back to our community and make it better. So that's one way we can do that, by looking at loan forgiveness, for example. And the federal government's already looking at it. What about looking at that for disadvantaged groups that have been impacted by chattel slavery?
All right, so let's talk about this weekend. Lots of conversation, very interesting. Who's testifying this weekend? What can we expect from these hearings?
This weekend, not only are we going to learn about international reparations, but what are they doing across the pond in other nations and other civilizations to reverse chattel slavery? And for me, it's going to be fascinating, because I just thought it was just here. Slavery is impacted all over the world, but most important, it's been reversed in some places. We can learn those lessons learned. we can bring it back here, and we're going to have a discussion about it. So then when we move forward with whatever reparations we want, we can use that as a template to create the best reparations known to demand. California will be the first. It will be the boilerplate. Every other state is looking to look what we do. The national reparations is especially looking at what we do here. So it's so important that we get it right.
So Congress member Sheila Jackson-Lee, she started it on a federal level. So we know that the House of Representatives is looking at reparations now. How much of an impact or a role do you think California's hearings and what the findings happen here will impact what's happening on a federal level?
So I'm in contact with certain members of the Congressional Black Caucus, and they're giving me input as to what they believe will help them move a national movement. And so we're going to try to incorporate that, because if we're successful here, this should be successful nationally. And so we're in constant dialogue almost on a weekly basis on not only on what we're doing here, but what we can do to provide some kind of guidance on the national level.
Right. So will you be streaming? Will the hearings be streamed so everybody can pay attention? Or where is it happening at?
It's happening at the California Science Center in Exposition Park, 700 Exposition Park Drive. Everyone's welcome. It's also being live streamed.
Oh, nice.
You can also dial in if you want to put in comments. This is the most important thing, transparency. We're not going to get the best product unless every African American touches, listens, or gets involved in this. And that's what's so important right now. That's why here in Los Angeles, we're going to try to get as many people, if they can't show up, to at least view what's going on with reparations. But most important, I want them to give their input, because some of the best ideas aren't always from elected officials. They come from the people. And we got to depend on the people to give us the best solutions on how we can move reparations for everybody in California.
Well, we will be watching, and we here at the LA Sentinel will do our part to make sure all of our community knows about it.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. This is great.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
To learn more, to participate in the upcoming meetings for the California Reparations Task Force, visit the website on the screen. Now, 40 acres and a mule was promised, but in today's time, we will have to see what reparations looks like for Black folks. Now, for the latest in Black news, you want to visit lasentinel.net. I'm Niele Anderson, and you have just been debriefed.
Today's Daily Brief is brought to you by Microsoft, a proud sponsor of Taste of Soul's digital world. Microsoft, bringing tech innovation to the Black community.